Welcome back, Red Spotters, another show here on the Red Spotlight Podcast. This is episode 226. I'm your host today, Alexis J. Soto, and I am joined by your usual and crazy kook of characters. First of all is Vlad from What We Do in the Shadows, Mr. Peter Martinez. How are you doing?
Hello.
We're also joined by Alexis Moreno, who just woke up from a coma and is sipping on some reviving iced coffee. How are you doing?
I'm good.
That iced coffee is in quotations, by the way.
Yeah, her silence is really reassuring there. And we're also joined by the essential worker of the month, Mr. Kyle Lira, who has graced us with his presence tonight. How are you doing?
How are you doing? I am doing fine.
Oh, he's sipping on some wine. Okay, I should clarify that.
Well, it is Peter's podcast.
Yeah,
for the night.
It is.
So get my engines running and prepared for this one.
All I have is some water, some wonderful ice water, which is the healthiest drink known to man. So there's that.
And the grossest.
Yeah, well, I mean, not as gross as Pepsi. Anyway.
True.
You guys could go fuck yourselves with that comment.
Oh my god. You know, this one time Alexis joked about buying a Coca-Cola phone case for you, but like at your place of employment, they don't sponsor Coke, do they? They sponsor their competitor.
What?
Yeah, Kyle, your place of employment.
Pepsi is better than Coke.
No.
It's not a conversation to even have, so I mean.
At my place of employment, they push Coke products.
They do?
Unfortunately.
Well, then it'll fit in. Order the phone case, Alexis.
Mine, they do not.
What do you mean they don't? Oh, at your Domino's, they don't. Oh, huh. Interesting.
Huh.
Well, we'll save this debate for some other day, because apparently we have a lot of polar...
Are we doing the podcast already?
Yeah, this is the podcast.
Oh, shit, I forgot. Okay.
Let me introduce what this is. This is part one in a four-part series.
No more slurs, Kyle.
What is that supposed to mean?
Means we're on air now. Control yourself.
This is part one in a four-part series of episodes that Peter Martinez was the originator of this wonderful, wonderful concept and idea. The main gist of it is we're going to talk about the films that were such big moments in our childhood that it shaped what we liked or didn't like about movies, it seems like, or that we recall are big moments in our lives. Peter Martinez is going to talk about at length about what this actually is with more detail, as well as the rules and parameters for which the four of us are going to have and make our lists. In these 4 episodes, starting with this one person of the panel will spend unveiling what those movies are, and the conversation will be about us talking about those movies. And Peter is up first today. Peter.
Yes. Okay, I can't remember. So I say every single film, and then we discuss?
Yeah, you rank them, and then we discuss.
There's no ranking. There's no ranking. There's nothing to rank.
There's no, yeah. There's nothing. I mean, there's really
not ranking.
Nothing.
You just list off the
list
movies
them
that you have.
Yeah.
Ranking movies stresses out Peter.
No. There's too much thought that I need to put, No. Okay, so yeah. Because I don't know. I was watching movies, and I'm like, this shit was a fucking banger when I was younger. And I notice, I can definitely tell by like just looking at the movies I saw as a kid, and it's like, yeah, this definitely had a taste, or influenced my taste in films today, but maybe even more so, who you are. Every interaction you have influences the person you will be. But because we talk about movies here, why not talk about the film aspect of that?
Like movies that we cut our teeth on.
That sounds graphic.
No, that's a fairly common expression. Movies that were kind of... Okay. but it is
But
graphic.
if I can make him feel awkward, I'm gonna do it.
You asshole! Come on.
Get a Blu-ray player and just like
Okay, don't make it. Oh,
start.
I told him to stop with the slurs. I don't know why he keeps... Okay. Yeah, I guess I go ahead and list the movies I put. Again, in no particular order, and then we can just discuss, I guess.
What years are we discussing?
Oh, I was actually looking at it the other day. There's nothing. It's from like 1993 to 2002. Nothing beyond 2002. But remember, this is like childhood. So like, what did I say? Like 2000.
well, because we're all the same age, right? We're all approaching 25 years of age, if not already there.
I'm not.
And in the years 1995 through 2007, I believe is what we had discussed, is when we had a lot of films that were, those were our formative years as children for what we would...
But they also didn't have to come out.
Right.
Like, if you want to include The Wizard of Oz, like...
The disclaimer is the film didn't have... The release date is irrelevant in general. If you experience...
But we had to have seen it between 1995 or 6, for some people's cases here.
Well, apparently 93. If Peter's talking about 93, then he must imply that he's the oldest one here. So...
I'm talking about release of film.
I'm the oldest one.
I'm talking about release of film. No, Moreno over there is a grandma already.
She's wondering why Ransom has returned.
Ransom? Ransom, you want to watch The Last Avatar with me, Ransom? We could watch Clone Wars.
That's literally Alexis as a grandma. That's so spot on. Oh my
god. But yeah, we had to have seen it between 1995 or 1996 through 2006 or 2007.
Because that's when we were from ages 0 to 12. The first 12 years of our lives, basically, is kind of what matters most and where we saw these movies. Release date, remember, is irrelevant. So it didn't have to come out between then. It came out whenever.
Yeah, but we had to have seen it between those 2 times.
But I think, was it Kyle you who asked? But yeah, the dates for the films, all of them released, were in between 1993 and 2000. So yeah, I'll go ahead.
Nothing older.
Yeah, nothing older.
That's interesting, because like mine is a lot of older movies.
Yeah, mine is very age specific.
So if that's the case, Star Wars isn't on your list, because that would be kind of a lie, wouldn't it?
Well,
let me read my list. Okay, so
Jar Jar?
the first
the Jar Jar Pinata?
Let me read my list, bitch. You see this, elders, they just don't listen.
Okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer. The first one on the list is the 2002 one, Spider-Man, directed by Sam Raimi. I don't think
oh my god.
I need to I don't think I need to tell you what the fucking film's about, okay? It's fucking Spider-Man.
It's about a big green guy, right?
Yeah. And I just list them, right? I don't talk about them.
Yeah, go ahead and get them all out of the way at once, and then we'll go into them.
Okay. The second one was Small Soldiers, 1998, directed by Joe Dante. The other one is Stephen Sommers' The Mummy, 1999.
Okay.
Yeah. The other one is the 1996 Christmas classic Jingle All the Way.
Yes!
With Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is a film, 1995, directed by Mr. Joe Johnston, Jumanji.
1995.
Okay.
With Jack Black? I'm kidding.
Fuck you.
You guys, we're back in Jumanji.
No.
I love that so much.
This one, directed by a few people, 1998. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
Wow, we just talked about this movie recently on the podcast.
Yeah. Shit, how many movies did I include?
It doesn't matter how many you do.
Oh, it matters for you guys, because you guys have more trouble picking. I don't want to fucking list 50.
And you can.
No, bitch. Okay, fine.
Nothing stopped you in the past.
Yeah, that's true. The Nightmare Before Christmas, 93. That's the oldest. Then directed 1997, directed by Gore Verbinski. Mouse Hunt.
Oh my god.
1996. Directed by Danny DeVito. Matilda.
Oh, wow.
And there was another film that I didn't include. I'm gonna throw it in real quick anyway. Peter Jackson's King Kong, 2005. And then I had one more. Let me see. Shit, this thing fell apart. Released 1999, directed by Mr. Lucas, Star Wars Episode 1.
Yes!
So
we should clarify something that I think we also forgot to mention. So people should not think of this as our favorite movies from our childhood. This is not what this is about at all. These are films.
Although I do love a lot of these.
Right. And
all of them, basically.
They can be films that you love, but it is not at all your favoriteest films from as a child. It's just the films that left lasting impressions on you, whether they're good or bad.
And it kind of like shaped your taste in films and all that stuff. And from this, you could clearly see
a lot.
a lot of influences on Peter. Weird, wacky angles, way things are shot really weirdly.
Yeah. As I was doing the list, I noticed it's mainstream movies, but like
quirky
and dark and humorous.
Kind of macabre at
times, but kind of macabre. Like the one that's the least that way is like Jingle All the Way, but that's a pretty fucked up movie. I don't know if you guys have gone back and watched it.
It's funny because David and I we really didn't talk about it, but like we remembered it because David was rewatching that Kevin Smith show, Comic Book Men.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody went in with the doll, the Turbo Man doll. Yeah, and they had no clue who he was. They had no clue who he was, and me and David were just like, "Oh, what do you mean?"
I have a fucking story.
Well, let's go ahead and start off with Jingle All the Way then.
Okay.
And also a few with Jake Lloyd.
Yeah, Jake Lloyd's a big person in this list.
We'll get to Jake Lloyd. But specifically Jingle All the Way. I fucking adored Jingle All the Way as a kid. Like
adored? You don't adore it now?
Adored. Well, I mean, the whole point is talking about when we were children.
Right,
okay,
and we were different people back then with different opinions and different thoughts. And one of the things we should talk about this as well as the concept for this series is it is funny looking back at your past and looking at the different ways you thought of film. How you would rank or rate the quality of a film back then has changed drastically, at least for me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. For me, I went... I guess I'm just, perfect because...
Peter's got jokes.
Yeah.
Peter's got jokes.
Looky.
Because I think all of these, except one, is still, like, really awesome film. You know what I mean? Because I recently did rewatch Jingle All the Way. and it's fucking funny. Like, it's crazy. Like, the jokes that they do with that shit, you can't do today. For like the mailman, like, there's multiple times throughout the film he'll pull out a package and be like, "It's a fucking bomb!" Like get down. Like, multiple times. And then there's a gag where they're running away from the cops, and he does that, like, "Don't come near me, this is a bomb." And then, like, they place it down, and then he's running out of the building, like, the police grab it, and they're like, "We've been duped, guys. Like, it's not really a bomb." They rip it open. It shit explodes, and like, you see it from the outside from what was the actor's name? The Sinbad, and he's like, "Oh fuck, you really was a bomb. People are sick these days. What is wrong with people?" Like, he's just going off. So funny,
especially like post like 9/11.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, this
like,
shit,
well, that's why this is an interesting concept for a show, because a lot of the films, we were alive for a good bit before. We were alive pre 9/11 era. So
I remember 9/11.
All of us do.
Legit, yeah. I remember the day.
Yeah, the day, where I was, what we would do. We all have vivid memories in our brains still of that day.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty fucking crazy. But the film is like, it's pretty adult and kind of fucked up. Like, just sort of this consumerist view of Christmas, of like needing to get the perfect gift. Mm-hmm. And then like the whole like obsession with the toy of the month, or like the toy of that moment, and like what's his name, Turbo Man was obviously like a Power Rangers knockoff, and like the
or G.I. Joe, something like that.
Like the joke of the fucking pink furry one, I can't remember his name. It was
something stupid.
It was something dumb, but the running gag is like, he's the one character that no one liked. Like the character, like the kids were like, "We fucking hate you." Like, there was a point, like at the big ending, which I loved the big ending as a kid, when he puts on the Turbo Man thing. There's that joke where the kids just start beating the shit out of him, and they're like, "We don't like you." Like, the character.
And you see him, the guy in the suit,
yeah, he's just smoking cigarettes, like, fuck.
Cigarettes. I'm smoking cigarettes.
And he's just like, "Oh god, like, we gotta fucking do this, you know?" It's turbo time. And then there's movie. A lot of the most recurring individuals. If you just look at this, like, the biggest influence on my childhood were Jake Lloyd and Kirsten Dunst. Probably just looking at this shit.
Yeah.
There you go. But
I saw it last. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Specifically with Turbo Man, real quick. I loved the movie as a kid, right? So like, every Christmas, make my Christmas list. Guess what's at the top of the fucking list?
Turbo Man.
Fucking Turbo Man. Guess who never got a Turbo Man? Guess.
And you know what's funny? The guys that worked at the comic book store, because they didn't know who he was, they didn't take him.
I recently looked on eBay, and I'm like, fuck it. Let's fulfill some childhood dreams. I'm getting a fucking Turbo Man. You know how expensive those fucking dolls are? I now feel for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, holy shit, they're expensive. They are so goddamn expensive now. And it's like, I just want, when I die, bury me with a fucking Turbo Man. Okay? If I can't have it in this life, it'll be the next life. Okay? Yeah, I don't know.
It's so weird and wacky, especially because, like, Schwarzenegger, and you would, like, picture him, like, in, like, Commando and all these different things, and he's, like, completely put into, like,
I forgot.
Children's comedy.
I was wrong. Phil Hartman is also someone that appears multiple times in my list. The comedian, because he plays sleazy Ned Flanders in this fucking even as a kid I thought that was funny. Like he legit played like, oh, he's the perfect dad that all the moms are hitting on, and then he's trying to move in on Schwarzenegger's wife, who's actually Tom Hanks' wife.
Rita Wilson.
Yeah.
Like, guy's got balls. I give him that.
And then when he tries to like buy it from the fucking like the illegal I don't even know what it was, like
the black market kind
of black market Santas. It is just like this Santa brawl out of nowhere until the FBI like busts it up, and it's funny. I still find it funny. It's kind of mean spirited in a way. But yeah, the humor hit me as a kid. I don't know what to tell you.
Also, the way that it ended too. He's like, "Well, if you went all that way for our kid, what did you get me?" And like weird hijinks music ends the movie, and it's perfect. I watched it last Christmas. I was like, this movie still stands up in terms of its quality and
Turbo Man.
Turbo Man. The action was actually pretty.
That third act, I fucking love it. It's so stupid. Why would they create a functional Turbo Man suit for a parade? But I don't care.
He's still zipping through the freaking city and all that stuff. It's great. It's good fun.
Did you guys watch, or Alexis?
Yes. No. I mean, I didn't talk because I agree with all that's been said. This was one of those movies that I remember very much vividly in my brain. At that time, I think it was, and I might have seen it in theaters. I can't be sure, but it was one of those that was a frequent rental, because that used to be a thing back in those days. You get to go to a rental store.
You're a dinosaur.
We would do that, and for sure, when it came to the Christmas season, this would always be a watch for that. No, it was high level entertainment, fueled by, I think, the kind of like laugh out loud comedy that I would love, especially as a kid. So you see, I hadn't thought about this movie in recent years because, like, obviously so much has happened, so much has changed as far as like my taste in film. But still, I would, you think you and I especially, and I think also Kyle, Peter, it's hard because a lot of, especially with Jingle All the Way, like it was, like honestly, it must have been, as it was, Citizen Kane for those of us who were of the age to enjoy that at its most. But like, it's interesting. I'm almost sure like it didn't get at all good reviews. I think it might have even been trashed when it came out. By adults and anything, trashed.
Well, on Letterboxd, it's like at a 2.7. Like,
ouch.
I mean, it's cheesy, and I don't know why, but like cheesy has become a bad word in like in film discussion circles. I love cheesy movies. I love when it's done well like this, and I think this is high value cheese. Arnold Schwarzenegger in a Christmas movie? Are you kidding me? That writes itself, and this is what it was.
He fights
like
a reindeer.
It's like an SNL sketch, come to life in a movie form. Yeah, but
and
somehow
then it was like at a time where he was not doing that, like in terms of like the roles that he was taking. So it's kind of funny to like see that.
I mean, people really hate this movie, but I watched it recently, and it ain't nostalgia. That shit's funny. I like it.
I mean, Moreno, like the closest thing that he did was Kindergarten Cop.
Oh
yeah.
But like even then, it was like a low key like conspiracy theory film, and like there's other shit going on besides him with the kids and all that stuff. So like it was still in that vein, but like a straight up, the only action that he does is like just running around chasing after this fucking doll, and that it lends itself to good. But yet again, like the cheese factor is added in with, I guess, like sincerity, I guess, because he's just trying to just be a good dad kind of thing, and that makes it more, that's where the heart
I really do miss that era of movie making for a lot of reasons, and yes, the cheese, of course, I do miss that, but especially a lot of those holiday themed Christmas movies from that era. I wish we had those back. Like Klaus, watching Klaus was really a reminder that came out last year. A reminder of like when we used to get a lot of really good Christmas films, or at least films that appealed to us as kids. And I remember this movie. A big reason why I loved it was it just like it got me so much in the Christmas spirit and the Christmas cheer. I guess yay for commercialism. It's pretty much like Black Friday but for kids. Like all like the massive amount of effort just to get one Turbo Man, and it's hilarity ensues. I think it's great. I probably kind of want to watch it right now because it's been decades since I've seen it. Probably.
Question. What do you guys think? Little sidestep question. What do you guys think of Christmas with the Cranks?
I never saw it, I think.
That is... No.
Okay.
That is a weird move. Okay. Oh, I hate the neighbors in that movie. I despise them. Because it's just like, they're just like, oh, we just want to go on vacation. And they're like, fuck you, you have to do Christmas. And it's like, why? Why can't they just go on vacation? I don't know. That movie's weird. It's a little culty, that movie. That neighborhood is a fucking Christmas cult. Like, ugh. It's a weird, yeah.
All right.
What were the other movies?
So we,
do you guys remember any of the other movies I picked?
We could Pendle from Star Wars Phantom Menace or Small Soldiers.
Small Soldiers, I think, is appropriate because that's kind of the movie that began, I think, the idea for this. And then also when I was discussing it with Peter in any way. Another one of those movies that came out in that era that is just completely unique of that era. And yet it works so well. Like a lot of great ideas that would not, I think, be sold today on paper because it just wouldn't work with today's sensibilities of filmmaking really worked back then. It'd be crazy, like the outlandish things that people would try. And Small Soldiers, if it were done today, would probably be one of those dog shit movies from Sony, probably, if it had come out today.
I adore Small Soldiers. I love Small Soldiers. It is one fucked up kids movie.
It is,
and I love every second.
Parts of it scared me, I think, and I was like, okay, maybe I can step away.
That scene when they're fucking Frankensteining all those like Barbie dolls where they're all naked and like half melted, and then they have like sharp things attached to them. Major Chip Hazard is like hysterical. I love it.
A little note before, like, it's stereotypical 90s, like Sarah Michelle Gellar does the voice of those deformed Barbies.
Of the Barbies. By the way, guess who had a fucking Archer action figure? Me, bitch. Guess who had a Major Chip Hazard? Me, bitch. Guess who had the Small Soldiers bed sheets? Me, bitch.
Did you get Turbo Man?
No. Oh. I never got a Turbo Man.
Oh,
first world problem.
It's okay. I have a cousin who, till this day, she's almost 30 years old. She wants the original packaged Buzz Lightyear.
The original? The new ones don't do it for her?
Oh, no. Every time she sees a new one, like, we ask her, like, is it this one? And she's like, no.
The original package Buzz Lightyear was sold out, like, when it came out, wasn't it? Like,
yeah.
From the 1995.
That's as old as we are.
Like the one that you can make the ship.
Yeah.
That's the one that she wants.
So she's crazy.
Hey, I mean, you're the one that went on eBay to look for Turbo Man all these years later. I mean,
I didn't buy it though. Okay, fuck you.
You contemplated it.
She would totally buy it.
I made the adult decision and said it's too expensive. Okay. But if other people wanted to pull money together, you know,
go fund me.
Go fund me. It's been my dream. I'll be right next to like people trying to afford funerals and like cancer treatment.
Oh. You have like the most sympathetic like picture of yourself next to it.
Just like
in the arms of an angel.
It just wasn't in the cards, I guess. Go for it. But yeah, no, I loved Small Soldiers. Like that third act again is just fucking gold to me, where they just start blaring. So tell me what you want, what you really want.
Oh my god!
Like it's also so like very 90s. You got fucking Kirsten Dunst. You have David Cross. You have the main kid. I forgot his name, but he has like
a bunch of credits from the 90s
Alan,
as well.
He has the most stereotypical 90s kid hair.
Yep.
Haircut.
Yeah. The
like
hair.
JTT back in the day.
The clothing. Like even the way things look, it's just like you can pick it out of a lineup if it screams 90s and oh my god.
But like all of the what really made it for me was the not the Gorgonites, the other ones. The Commander Elite or whatever. I forgot their name real quick.
Oh.
But
Dennis Leary.
Yeah, Dennis Leary. Very 90s. Jay Moore, Kevin Dunn, Phil Hartman. There he is again as the neighbor. But like all the surrounding characters, like the parents and the neighbor's parents, like Kirsten Dunst's parents, and just their dynamic together, just everything I think worked so well, and I find it so funny and interesting, and just these fucked up little toys. They're just one step below Chucky and one above Toy Story, and it just works so well. Like I love the Barbies. I love when one of them dies, so they peel off the soldier's face and take out its chip to create them. I feel
like if like you've never seen this movie and they're listening right now, you describing it. I bet you they're just like, what the fuck?
It sounds horrific. Happening? It sounds horrific for a kid's movie.
It's great. I love it. I keep telling you, I miss when kids' movies had a little edge to them. Like, Jesus.
And also, like, Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones is perfect.
Yes.
Anything else is just a toy. Oh, God, I love his little taglines.
Also, like, how, like, blindly, like, I guess patriotic he is. Like, there's like one scene where he's just like standing in front of American flag.
Yeah, and again, and I feel like of the films I've mentioned, you can delve into like themes and shit, like just the consumerism of the holidays with Jingle All the Way, and the way that they sell patriotism to kids in war without even thinking twice about it, or what it entails. Like there's obviously more going on than just the surface level shit, but as a kid, you know, tell me what you want, what you really want. That shit was
it's
great.
Crazy. It's a crazy film. But again, it had like a little touch of heart with it, because like the Gorgonites are
Gorgonite scum.
They had that, and they're trying to reach Valhalla, I think.
It wasn't Valhalla. It was like some... It was... I can't remember.
The Heaviside Slayer?
Called.
Or what's it called? The Heaviside Layer?
The Heaviside Layer, yeah.
Yes. They were the Jellicle choice. Yeah. What next, Peter?
Well, continuing on, I feel like because they're so close, I think in space. I wanted to get to because I feel we should get this out of the way with. Plus, of course, leave it to Peter to always insert Star Wars into anything ever. The Phantom Menace, 1999.
Yes. 1999.
The Phantom Menace was the worst thing since my son.
Oh my god. I mean, come on now, people. It's Star Wars. I feel like I've talked about my history with the Phantom Menace.
That was your first Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I guess I'll reiterate it real quick. I must have been 3 at the time it came out on VHS. I had never seen a Star Wars before, but I went shopping with my grandmother, and I remember I was small enough to be in the little cart, like, you know.
Oh boy.
I was sitting. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember this shit. And like everyone was like, "Oh, did you get your copy?" Like it was a big fucking thing.
You remember this shit?
Yes, I remember.
You were 3 years old sitting in a shopping cart and people were like raving about, "Did you get your copy of Phantom Menace?"
Yeah, VHS. Yes. I remember this. And not only that, I remember coming home to my grandparents' house. Getting there, popping in the VHS, to watch it for the first time, and just fucking adoring it, like absolutely adoring it. Like Jar Jar was the greatest thing since sliced bread to me. When I saw that, Misa Jar Jar Binks, fucking hilarious. Okay, he stepped in doo-doo, poodoo or whatever. It was amazing. Like the fucking what's it called, the pod racer scene, it blew my mind. The final fucking lightsaber battle was possibly the greatest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. I was 3 at the moment, but still, like I adored
it. 3 years were leading up to that.
3 years were leading up to watching Maul get cut in half. Like I loved it, and I was on such a sugar high of Star Wars. After like I finished, I'm like, I need to watch something Star Wars right now. And my grandmother, she has a room filled with like films, old movies.
Oh boy.
So I was like, maybe I knew old Star Wars existed. I'd never watch it. It's one of those things where it's just like, it exists, but you don't know it. So I just don't
know the power of the dark side.
Yeah. So I just like combed through her VHSs, and then I found it. It was a VHS of the original Star Wars.
Oh boy.
A New Hope. It was the last one released before the special editions.
Wow, okay. Really?
Yes.
Damn, then
she still has it.
She must have gotten it the way before then, because the special editions were well distributed by then, right? Or no?
Yeah, like
okay. Which cover is it? Because I know like
Darth Vader's face.
Jedi. Darth Vader. Okay.
It was Darth Vader's mask, and I know because I recently popped it in, and it was saying like, and it was marketing these exact VHS copies, and it's like your last chance to own the original trilogy forever, because
whoa, that was accurate marketing.
Yeah, no, like they weren't fucking around at the time, because they're legit saying like afterwards, we are doing the special editions. Like this is your last chance to own these. So I got that VHS, I popped it in. I couldn't get 10 minutes through it before I popped it out and put Phantom Menace back in and watched that shit from beginning to end again. It was so goddamn slow. And it's like nothing's happening. It's just a bunch of dumbass droids walking around in the desert. What is this?
What are they talking about?
What are they talking about? Where are the lightsabers? I don't give a fuck about this Luke bitch. Like, took it out. 3-year-old, fuck this. Put back in the Phantom Menace.
Wild.
And I, again, fucking the Star Wars sheets, prequels. I had Qui-Gon. I slept on some Qui-Gon sheets. I had fucking I had a Jar Jar poster. I remember we went to a party. It wasn't my party. I want to make that very clear. It wasn't my party, but it was someone else's like Star Wars party, and they had a Jar Jar piñata. And I loved Jar Jar, so I took the head. After they were done, like I just took Jar Jar's piñata head, and I kept it. It was mine. It was my piñata Jar Jar head. And I think my mom, it got to the point where she threw it away when I was asleep at some point. But like,
damn,
I have pictures of me like 3 years old, like happy as shit at some party holding up my Jar Jar head.
The way you're painting your childhood sounds like the most traumatic stuff. Didn't get the Turbo Man. Mom threw away my Jar Jar head.
Very first world trauma. I didn't get the Lamborghini I asked for when I turned 16. Oh no. But no, I adored Phantom Menace for the longest time as a kid. Like, I adored it. And I adored every one of the prequels as they came out. I have distinct memories of the first time I watched every single prequel.
Wow.
Like, I remember I have distinct memories of watching Attack the Clones. And I remember because the audience burst into laughter when Yoda started hopping around when he fought Count Dooku.
Wow.
Like, they thought it was the funniest fucking thing. Like, I remember being in the theater. But I also remember, like, and this is how I know I was still really young, because we used to do, it must have been kindergarten, first grade, I don't know, like calendars where it's like January, and then you'd write like 2 sentences and then what you did, and then one of, I guess it was fucking May, I don't know, and I wrote all about how I went to see Attack the Clones, and then it's like you write 3 sentences and then draw a picture, and then I spent like 2 seconds on the sentence and then like 5 hours on the picture where I was drawing the final battle where Obi-Wan is taking on the fucking the praying mantis bitch, and then like all the Jedi and the bug creatures, and then like like I was like, this is my Mona Lisa. Like at like, I don't know how old I was, 4 or 5, I decided this was my Mona Lisa. I'd spent all that time on it. And then I remember going to see Revenge of the Sith, obviously the most clearly, because we took my grandpa to see it, and it was so funny walking out. He was like, the only thing I remember of Star Wars was Darth Vader, so the whole movie I'm like, where's Darth Vader? And then at the end of the movie it's like, oh shit, there's Darth Vader. So that was fun. But yeah, no. The I would not love Star Wars without the Phantom Menace, and I wholeheartedly admit that.
And just as a refresher, really, and not to make this a whole diatribe, but like just real quick, among the 4 of us, each of us had different like introductions to Star Wars. So Peter just mentioned it was the Phantom Menace. I've talked about how the original like mini Clone Wars series before the original Clone Wars series came out, that was my introduction.
Star Wars Clone Wars. Alexis Moreno's introduction was Star Wars The Clone Wars, that was when she first really got invested with no wonder she's such an Ahsoka fangirl.
and
well, she's representing right now.
She's representing,
and a lot of it's really like prequel heavy, but then you go to Kyle and he was the only one, he talked about it thousands of times, but he's the only one that got introduced with the original Star Wars movie, A New Hope. It's really weird.
Yeah.
And I love it how you say that the first time you watched A New Hope, it was like, oh my god, this is fucking boring. This is, and I'll tell you this. While I didn't hate the first time I have watched the originals, because when I watched the prequels first, but then I watched the original movies, I was a little troubled by the fact that the pacing was so much slower. And as a kid, like, I don't know, when you're used to movies being so fast paced, and then you watch something that's just so incredibly slow, it's an adjustment period, I feel. And some, like you, couldn't get past it seems.
I refused. I wanted my Darth Maul lightsaber battles, goddammit. Yeah, and it was something where it's like, as I got older, it just became impossible to reconcile like the prequels and the originals. And it's like, these aren't the same thing. Yeah, but that's
so
a whole
your
other
personal
thing.
headcanon was the first 3 episodes, and then original trilogy could go fuck itself.
At that point, yeah, I didn't even think about it. Like it's just like, I guess I knew who Han and Leia and Luke were, and I knew Chewbacca obviously, and like Darth Vader obviously, because it's all leading to Darth Vader. But it was like, they weren't the movies I cared about at that time. They just weren't. It was the prequels.
It's so interesting. I don't know what got me interested in, because like, to you, episode 4 was like boring as shit and all that stuff. I don't know what like drew me. I guess all like the noise of the first like couple of minutes of the movie. I have no idea what got me enthralled about it, but I was drawn.
But that's why we're different people, and we bring different perspectives. And you know what? Yeah. Like, there doesn't have to be a reason why you liked it or Peter didn't like it. It just was. And again, this is like, we were children, and this is just us, a processing.
Children are dumb.
So yeah, that was a story.
Yeah.
That was, wow. Guys, any thoughts?
Darth Maul is cool.
He is cool.
The music is really cool too.
Do you guys have questions on any of the other ones I picked?
Well, yeah, we're gonna go through them. Kyle?
In terms of the ones that you listed, or the ones that previously, or the ones that
no, you could just make up any film.
Okay, so let's talk about Casablanca. No, I'm kidding.
Trash. They should have ended up together.
Okay. Star Wars Phantom Menace, really interesting. King Kong.
Yeah.
Let's discuss King Kong.
Yes. Well, since I threw in King Kong at the last minute, technically that's the most recent, as it came out in 2005. The eighth wonder of the world. I think I remember distinctly, I loved King Kong. I loved it. And there was this sort of like, at that time, I really liked Peter Jackson, like the director.
Like, because of Lord of the Rings.
Because of Lord of the Rings, yeah. And then this. And then, as a kid, you latch onto dumb things like, oh, we share the same name, And the idea that he's making these things that I love and we share a name, it's just sort of something like,
like your spirit buddies.
Yeah. And Peter Jackson always talks about one of the things that made him fall in love with film as a kid was watching the original King Kong. Like not a lot of people know is that he wanted to make a King Kong movie before the Lord of the Rings. But then he got the gig of he was actually ready to go on a King Kong movie. Like it was going to be a mix of like stop motion and CG and like they were kind of ready to go, but then that fell through. So he's like, okay, I'm going to do this, Lord of the Rings thing instead. And then after, he conquered the world with Lord of the Rings, he got his green light to make his pet project of King Kong.
There was when he was talking about like concept behind the film and all that stuff, he went into like detail. Like the design of King Kong was very much like Ray Harryhausen and all that stuff, like the influences that he had growing up as a kid. So this is like a very personal project for him.
And like the way I connected through as a kid, I think I was in fourth grade. I had spent a week in the hospital. for some infection type thing. It was pretty bad. But I remember, just as, you know, a gift for not dying was the was the original King Kong. It was like a double pack kind of the original and the new one, the 2005 okay. Peter Jackson one. And then yeah, I just devoured that shit. I had nothing better to do. I was in a fucking hospital. But I watched both, and I had already seen the original in theaters, and I had loved it, obviously, but this was just an opportunity to sort of like it was the first time I noticed things, I feel like, in movies. 'Cause you look at the original film, and then I noticed that in the new Peter Jackson one, they're basically filming the original movie. 'Cause you know how like they're filming
island
a movie in what's it called? And
Skull Island.
There's this whole other story going on with who's the actor? Not
Adrian Brody?
Not Adrian Brody.
Jack Black.
The one that played the actor. Shit, what's his name? Is he coming? Kyle Chandler? Yeah, Kyle Chandler. Played Bruce Baxter. The dialogue that they're saying.
Holy shit.
What?
Because he's in Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Yeah, that's why I loved him.
That's funny.
It's awesome. The dialogue that they're saying, like, when they're making the movie in the new King Kong is the same dialogue from the original movie. You know, it's like, oh, girls, they're a nuisance. And it's like, oh, but they're not always. Like, that old-fashioned speak. And in the original movie, they were the couple. But in this movie, it's like behind the scenes of that. And the real story is she's a couple with Adrian Brody, who's the writer. And I just noticed things like that. Like, I noticed the original fight with King Kong, where they fight on the log bridge, and then he like tosses them over the log bridge, and then they fall into the pit and die, and then that's it. In this film, Peter Jackson's, they have that same fight where they fight on the log, but you follow them down into the log, and you see them fight these like disgusting creatures, these like bugs, big ass bugs that crawl out of nowhere. And I've just always loved Peter Jackson's. I love that he devotes himself to these like gigantic, long, epic movies. Like, a lot of people don't like the first hour in of the original King Kong. And even as a kid, I liked it. I liked all the setup. I liked the characters. I liked Adrian Brody and the way they set it. And, you know, they really gave you a sense of New York, and, you know, the Great Depression going on. And Jack Black's like, I gotta make this movie. And like all that shit. Even as a kid, I loved it. And I just recently watched it, and it's like, it's so great. I think it might be like my favorite, you know, kaiju movie. Is that a correct termination?
It's a monster movie. It's the
monster movie.
Big ass.
The original monster movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's just so great, and I think, yeah. That's sort of my connection to it, and why I really loved it. Yeah.
It's very interesting. Okay.
Did I bore Moreno to sleep?
Well, she walked out, so I guess she's just not interested at all. Well, Kyle is right up there with you with the monster movies. I can't really add much to it because I don't think I ever really saw Peter Jackson's Godzilla. I think I saw it at a distance where I just not really paying attention. I know my dad...
You're more into the disaster film.
I love disaster movies. I don't know why.
By the way, the first time I ever saw Independence Day was because it was playing out of Walmart. I remember.
Independence Day scares me so.
At
least when I watched, I watched it the first time and I couldn't watch it again for a really long time because it just.
Well, we'll talk about it on my list. Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Independence Day.
Yeah,
but
but I just wanted to throw that
out. With Godzilla and everything, like I don't know. I never really was fascinated with monster movies in general, though. Like even I
wait, he did Godzilla?
The Peter Jackson Godzilla.
No. Peter Jackson King Kong.
Roland
Emmerich Godzilla.
Oh, King Kong. Wait, oops, sorry. You see how interchangeable they are? I just said Godzilla and I meant King Kong. Sorry. I'm sorry. That was a oopsie there. But Kyle loves these things, and I'm sure he loved the 2005 movie.
Yeah, I really loved the King Kong film. I was really like, that was my introduction to King Kong. And it was a good introduction. I remember seeing this at the drive-in that we used to have in Imperial, and it was an experience. I was like, oh shit, like it kind of felt like old school.
That was still open in 2005?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When did it close?
Yeah.
2012 or 13, somewhere around there. 2011, around that neighborhood.
I went in high school, so.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
That scene in the movie where, I haven't watched that movie in a really long time. The native people show up. And
yeah.
That part scared me so bad.
No, it's pretty scary and it's pretty violent.
Yeah.
Which worked for me. I liked it. I just loved how big. I just love when films go for it and they're just so sincere. I can overlook so many mistakes when movies do that. I don't know.
But it also that movie is beautiful and it lends itself to some beautiful atmosphere.
He takes on hello?
We're here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, holy shit. I thought you froze. He takes on fucking 3 V-Rexes at the same time. So
yeah.
Good shit.
It's also good atmospheric shit. Because
and that's what all I have to say about that.
Can you guys hear me?
I think Nightmare Before Christmas is kind of interesting.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it because it includes music?
Maybe.
I don't think.
I don't remember the first time I saw The Nightmare Before Christmas. But what I do know is I wore the shit out of that VHS. As a kid, I loved it, and yes, I loved the music.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Especially This Is Halloween. There are a lot of times where I think I wouldn't see the whole movie. I would just pop it in just to see This Is Halloween. But I had such what do you call it? I was just so drawn to the stop motion aspect of the film as well.
Wow.
I just
it's funny
about
it's funny how that's the very thing that prevented me from even watching it for so many years.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Stop motion is so amazing.
And I agree with you now as a 25-year-old, but if you asked maybe even 10-year-old me, I would be revolted by the very appearance of stop motion animation that I wouldn't bother watching the damn thing. And that's the truth.
You was a bitch.
And that's the truth of it, right? Is to really examine the kind of thought processes that we had back then. And so many films like Nightmare Before Christmas, which I've seen now and very much love and respect because it is a great film and a very cultural touchstone at that. But at that point, the only kind of animation that I was drawn to was really the 2D animation almost exclusively from Disney. I was a hardcore cultist at that point, really for this animation and just Disney animation and Pixar.
It was Disney though.
Yeah, but this was stop motion. I didn't recognize stop motion as being in the family of what Disney films were at that time. So I'm not
so
even.
You were always a snob.
It's not just that though. I didn't even realize that that was part of Disney's library until like years later.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let me show you guys something.
Oh boy, he's getting up to do a show and tell. This is interesting.
Okay. Oh shit. Okay. This is my head.
Wait, clarify that. What?
This is my head. It's a head. I guess it's like it's one of those that you that I think it's like for like practicing barbers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A mannequin.
It's a mannequin head.
Yeah.
You can call it a mannequin head. And
okay,
yes,
mannequin
and
head.
hairstylists can use it to practice cutting hair.
Because you see, there's like numbers.
Right.
Just study or whatever. Anyways, I saw it at years when I was young. I think it was at like a swap meet or like a garage sale, and I was like, "Oh, cool, a head," and I took it. But what's important is what the head is holding. Let me put this out here.
This got so weird. Oh my god, this is great.
Okay.
What did I just walk into?
Kyle was hung up for a bit, so he was gone. We're talking about The Nightmare Before Christmas, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
The bow.
This is Jack's bow. It was homemade. I was Jack for like 2 years running because I so liked it. You could see the googly eyes.
Nice.
Yeah. I think all my...
so we're talking about Nightmare Before Christmas right now. Okay.
Yeah. Shout out to my grandma. It's super sweet.
It completely wrapped out again.
Yeah. And I used to have my Jack mask because that was the only thing. I always loved masks. And I used to have like... I have a lot in my room, but I used to have a lot more. Like I had a Frankenstein and a wolf, and then another one. Oh, my pumpkin one. Oh, it's still up there. And I had a lot. I like masks. So I had the Jack one. But I gave it to one of my cousins one year because he went as Jack. And yeah, it's gone. Which is fine. But I still have the bow tie. So yeah, I was really, really into The Nightmare Before Christmas. Because also I was into Halloween, obviously. Halloween, even as a kid, was my favorite holiday. Which is weird because Christmas you get presents, right? And in Halloween you get candy, and I don't really care for candy. But
most kids, I think, favorite is overwhelmingly Halloween. Do you guys? Was that your guys' favorite?
Christmas.
Mine was Christmas.
Most kids are Christmas.
Mine was always. I never really cared for Halloween at all. I never even liked it. It was always kind of a distraction.
I mean, I love Halloween. I always loved Halloween. Like I would get my costumes made because we had like a family friend who knew how to like sew and all that stuff, and so
homemade, homemade, hell yeah.
So for like a few years, she made me. She actually made me. I think it was my 3rd birthday or something. I got the Alice dress made for me for like my birthday. And you see, I think I have a picture here. Oh no, it's on my phone. But my mom threw me and my brother like a really big like birthday party, and we got like all of our presents, and they filled up like our whole living room because it was like both of ours, and like it was like a big like it was like she threw it at a club that she used to go to. So it was really big.
Oh, it was one of those birthday parties. Yeah. Okay.
And so the dress was like in the middle of like all the presents, and I just wanted the dress. Like I didn't want anything. But she made me that one. She made me the Jane costume from Tarzan.
Wow.
Wow.
What else? I don't know. She made me like a whole bunch, and like she made like my cousins their costumes. So I was like, I would get like really into it and stuff. But Christmas, I think, like, I don't know, because I got to be like with my family and like all that stuff.
Halloween was a chance to dress like a Disney character.
Yes.
Like she needed an excuse. I mean, this coming from the person that made her brother wear dresses or Disney dresses and dance with her.
I didn't make him wear dresses. I made him dance with me.
Oh, okay. Didn't he say that you made him wear? Okay, never mind. I thought that's what he told me. There must be some drama there.
Yeah, there's some mixed messaging with the story there.
I know what he's talking about, but no, I used to make him dance with me.
But yeah, no, I Nightmare Before Christmas, and then also it has it's very, I think, like magical, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, so
it's unapologetically so.
I can't speak to it, of course, because I didn't experience it as a kid, but I'm sure Kyle and Alexis did, and to that point. Well, maybe we can go to Alexis. Like, what was it about that movie that was so magical?
Can I talk about it in mine? Because it's on my list.
Oh, okay. So to be continued.
To be continued.
To be continued. So go ahead, Peter, as you were gonna say your thoughts.
Just the idea of I harp on this all the time, so here I go again. The last no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's something like lore, right? Like, I feel if this fucking movie was made now, there'd be like lore and there'd be a need to like explain things. But I love how nothing is explained. It's very fairy tale. Like, it starts with like the voiceover of like, Halloween, da 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 da, and it's just Halloween Town. It's a town where Halloween exists and where just the spirit of Halloween always is. And then you have Christmas Town where the spirit of Christmas always exists, and just this sort of fairy tale like clashing of the two. I just always loved it. Always loved it. Yeah. I don't know if I can get more detailed than that.
Scooby-Doo, Zombie Island.
This one's a no-brainer. Again, I liked Halloween. I liked spooky things. But I wasn't allowed to see spooky things, if that makes sense. Like, I couldn't watch anything rated R or like horror films, so to speak, obviously. But I loved Halloween, and I always loved that just sort of environment. So, of course, I sort of gravitated towards Scooby-Doo as a kid. The show in of itself, Scooby-Doo. Mm-hmm. And, of course, love the live-action movies. I know those are sort of... not with this generation, but I guess at the time when those live-action movies were released, I guess it was, like, controversial to like them.
No, they were, but they were very much trashed.
Yeah. But the one movie that everyone had always agreed, like, this is the Scooby-Doo. Like, this is
experience.
The Scooby-Doo experience was Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island. And again, I remember taking out that VHS and just running it until the fucking the film popped out on the side and you had to roll it back up. It was genuinely dark, genuinely creepy. The mystery was interesting, and like what was actually going on the island. Like, as a kid, it's like, oh fuck, like what's going on here? Plus, it was the first time in the Scooby-Doo canon that like the monster was actually a monster. And I remember
it was real, not like Old Man Jenkins or something like that.
Old Man McCreary trying to take back his abandoned ice skating rink. Like, none of that. There was actually some real paranormal shit going on. And like, yeah, at that time it's like, oh shit, this time it's for real. It's one of those things, you know? So yeah, I mean, I know all of you, I know Alexis does. I think Kyle agrees. I don't know about Alexis Moreno. But like, yeah, I was a big fan of Scooby-Doo as a kid, and then Scooby-Doo Zombie Island was just like pinnacle Scooby-Doo. So yeah.
Mine was like Scooby-Doo and Tom and Jerry.
Oh really?
Yeah, we had like all of like not like all of the movies, but a lot of the VHSs for those two cartoons specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And we would watch those a lot. Like I would put Disney, and then David would put either of those.
Yeah, like same here with Scooby-Doo. Like I'd watch honestly anything Scooby-Doo, whether it be the classic animated series or the What's New Scooby-Doo or Scooby-Doo and Scrappy, or a lot of those early 90s Scooby-Doo movies of Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy, and the Ghoul School.
What was the one where it was like
Werewolf?
A guest star every episode?
Yeah. Funny thing about that is that was my introduction to Scooby-Doo, because like there was one because no, because I was really huge into the Addams Family at the time.
Oh yeah,
and
they're good.
And there was one episode where the Addams Family guest starred on Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, they had this thing where every episode
wait a minute,
was a
was
guest
there
star.
something with Batman and Robin?
Yes.
Was that what we were talking about?
Yes, Batman, Robin, Joker, and Penguin.
I saw that. I remember watching that. What the fuck was that?
I mean, they had like the Beach Boys and just like
big. They also had like
names.
TV stars. Like it was crazy. It was weird.
And they started like to do that again, like with John Cena, Kiss, and and all that stuff recently. I don't know, but Scooby-Doo has always done that. Freaking the guy who did the voice of Shaggy was like the Howard Stern of his time, Casey Kasem. He was like the shock jock of the time, and he was like he did the voice of Shaggy. So I mean, they weren't short on celebrities and all that surrounding Scooby-Doo.
In the same way that Alexis was collecting, the videotapes of Scooby-Doo, so was I. Because it was just like, oh yeah, Scooby-Doo, it'll be good. That's like, especially the one that began with Zombie Island, then Alien Invaders.
That one.
Right.
Oh my god.
The Witch's Ghost, I think, and then also
the Hex Girls.
Yep, and the Cyber Chase. Those four especially were all from the same person, and that was like, it was a really like experimental phase, or at least Zombie Island was with Scooby-Doo. Like that was just the favorite.
It was a resurgence.
Yeah, it was a resurgence for Scooby-Doo, and I really liked that. And of course, I liked the live action movie as well.
You know what's really funny? And as a kid, I don't know why I did this, but like there was a few Scooby-Doo movies where it was just Scooby-Doo and what's his name?
Shaggy.
Yeah.
Oh.
So like
like that Ghoul School one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, those films took place in those 2 years where the gang was split up in the live action Scooby-Doo movie.
You know what? I think I must have thought the same thing at some point, because really, Scooby-Doo is a franchise that they never cared about continuity. I guess some of us at that age would want to talk about continuity, but yeah, I probably would have thought the same thing.
I remember as a kid going like, oh, the reason the rest of the gang's not here is because this is when they were split up. So this is what Scooby and Shaggy were doing by themselves for those couple of years.
Right. And like what blew my mind was like when it came to like Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed, we got the Black Knight Ghost. And I'm like, wait a minute, I saw an episode like that in the 60s, where that happened. And they faced the Black Knight Ghost and just like it was like weird. I don't know.
I used to have all the ghosts memorized, like their names. The minor 49er. Yeah.
The pterodactyl ghost.
Pterodactyl.
I love how we're all talking about this on the week that they just released a new Scooby-Doo movie, and none of us care to see it.
And none of us care to watch it.
No.
It's because it's not a Scooby-Doo movie.
It's not, no.
But it's also, like, kind of cool, because I guess, like, I feel like Scooby-Doo hasn't been around for a while.
It hasn't.
At least, like, yeah, so it's kind of cool that, like, hopefully, like, kids now are going to be able to see it, you know?
I'm happy that kids have some Scooby-Doo to look at.
I love that. Look, if this is popular with them, then maybe they can make more projects. And with HBO Max now a thing, they can do maybe a new Scooby-Doo series yet again. Because they always reboot Scooby-Doo and make it a new series every few years or so. It's one of those things that...
Like, there was, like, there was a gritty reboot called Mystery Incorporated.
There was?
Was there? I don't remember that.
It was called Mystery Incorporated, and, like, Shaggy and Velma were dating.
Oh, what? No. Okay, I hate it. Thanks, I hate it.
Yeah.
Oh, no. The mysteries are real this time. Old Man Jenkins was hiding his meth lab, so he needed to be the ghost of the child that drowned in the lake. Like, oh, dark shit.
But yeah, it was like that. Really like it was really like gritty, like kind of Riverdale-esque. It did not work. And then they rebooted it again to make it back to its cartoon roots, and I don't think it did well.
Oh
no. The only time where they went like weird with it was, I think, like, or like really different is the live action films, right, where it's a little bit more adult, and like,
even those versions were so watered down from what their original intent was, at least from James Gunn, who wrote those movies.
It was meant to be much more adult, but still, you got stuff like the Mary Jane joke.
And it's interesting because if James Gunn wanted to, I guess with the existence of HBO Max, whatever his original purpose could be fulfilled now with, you know, streamers being a thing.
I think this time they'd actually have the balls to make Velma a lesbian.
Yeah. Because the whole thing was that there was supposed to be like a side plot where like they got a little bi-curious.
This was 2002. That was never going to happen.
It was never going to fly.
Even in now, we don't get nothing but a mention like in the movies. If we can't have it now...
If there was another live action one, Velma would have a real quick kiss in the background, all blurry, and it'll be blink if you miss it. Like, that's the best you could hope for.
Disney.
If it's Disney,
they'll do that shit. Warner Brothers, I think, have a little bit more balls.
But that was kind of always the joke, kind of, with that was like, oh, the reason they're always so hungry is because they're high, or like Shaggy, they're stoners. And Velma
they're like
was meant
byproducts
to be,
of the 60s.
Yeah, the 70s, 60s, 70s, yeah. But yeah, Scooby-Doo, always been a fan.
Oh, I even watched a pup named Scooby-Doo, now that I remember.
Yeah, a pup named Scooby-Doo. I don't think that's the song,
but... I remember that.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Scooby.
No, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Sing-along version. Yeah. The Mummy. Let's talk about The Mummy.
Okay.
By the way, is that ride still available at Universal?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it is. And
there was one time I had the annual pass to Universal Studios. This is like, I want to say like freshman year, sophomore year. So this was like a like Transformers ride. Like they were barely building it, so it's been a while.
This is way before Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, I think they had just announced it. And so the park was like empty. I don't know how it is now, but like there was not a lot of traffic there.
Empty.
Yeah. And so my cousin and I went one day, and that was like the only ride that we rode all day. We rode it about like 10 times.
It's a cool ride.
Not Jurassic Park?
That one kind of freaked me out.
Yeah, it's scary. It's supposed to be scary.
Yeah.
I don't like the drop. It's too steep.
I don't like the dinosaurs.
But they're not real. The drop is real.
I saw when they were promoting the Jurassic World ride that was opening up.
No, I couldn't watch it
Well,
that's terrifying.
Not just that, it is, but like they had like I think I don't know if there were animatronics, but they had like velociraptors outside, and they would scare people from behind. Like,
yes, no, I would cry.
They still have that. Oh my god, I need to take you guys to Halloween Horror Nights. You guys would.
Oh my, I want to go so bad. You guys would I'm die. So bad with haunted houses, but I want to go. I
wouldn't want to go to a fucking haunted house. I'd die. No.
But it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
I'd love it.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, I know it's canceled, but what mazes do you think they would have done this year?
Fuck. I don't know. The 500 Purge mage. Because it usually depends on. It's usually like half of them are like some old horror films.
They were gonna they released the list. I think they were gonna do a Gremlins one this year.
They were.
Yes.
No.
Well, they can use it the next year. Corona.
How dare you?
And the hits keep on coming.
Can I tell you something? I'm so happy that fucking Tom Cruise movie bombed so that they didn't fuck with the Mummy ride.
Oh, they would have. I'm sure they would have.
They did it to Jurassic Park. It's now Jurassic World. And it's like, fine. It's Jurassic Park is so much better. But fine, Jurassic World, whatever. But no, the Mummy ride is great. I'll say this. The Indiana Jones films, those were films I didn't watch until I was a little bit earlier. My fucking until I was a little bit older. My Indiana Jones films were The Mummy. The Mummy was my shit. The Mummy was the thing I saw when I was a kid, like young. And it's just like, to me, it was like the perfect action adventure movie. Like perfect. Just the swashbuckling nature, fucking Brendan Fraser Frasering it up.
At his prime?
At his prime, the Mummy was like terrifying, but like a cool villain. Like the Egyptology and like the history of Egypt, I've always found so interesting. I don't know if it's
Mrs. Daniel Craig.
Oh my
yes, Rachel Weisz. They got yes, her. But her brother is like comedic relief. Like, to me, it just hits on all cylinders. Like every fucking cylinder. And again, as a kid, watched it so many times. It's like the perfect action adventure. And I remember when I was older, going back and reading reviews of the movie when it first came out, and it's like, this Indiana Jones knockoff, like, bitch, you put respect on the Mummy's name, okay? If it is an Indiana Jones knockoff, it's the best one there is, okay? It's great. I love it. Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's like an Indiana Jones ripoff. I mean, it's because like it's the desert and all that stuff, and there's like action adventure and tombs and all that stuff. But it really harkens back to like the old school. It's a freaking remake.
Yeah,
kind of.
It's a remake, but it's not, because that Mummy was a complete like its own interpretation of what it is. Because I think what Peter is saying is Indiana Jones is your classic B movie. And so is what the Mummy is. And it adopts the sensibilities. It adopts the action-adventure style that Indiana Jones was so known for, but with this generation, with the Mummy. And that particular franchise, and granted, never seen these movies, but having, been told what you guys have said about those movies.
You've never seen the Mummy?
No.
Wow.
None of those movies, no.
What?
No.
Looks like he's got some to the table.
If it was remotely scary, I avoided it. And I'll get into that on my episode. I'll get into it on my episode. If it was remotely scary, I was like,
movies are going to be sunshine and rainbows.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's me, guys. What do you think? But the thing is, though, I think the comparison does fit, because that's what it were for you. Whereas the classic Mummy series was not action adventure fun stuff. Like, the Mummy and Indiana Jones fit in the line of like what National Treasure or Pirates of the Caribbean from that same decade would also be like. And they're just fun blockbuster movies,
Swashbuckling.
Yes. When I think of blockbuster, that's what I think about. Like, that's what I want. Like, Boom. Perfect.
The Mummy and good fun and all that stuff.
Oh, I
Plus,
could
like,
have
the
added
chemistry
pirates,
between the
but I'm
cast
not,
is amazing too.
Because that was a big one, but nah. But yeah, I can't believe you've never seen The Mummy. I forgot who I'm talking to. Never mind.
There you go.
Rick O'Connell.
You know what this means, though? It means for however long To the Table's on hiatus, it'll never really be canceled. There's so many movies out there. So
yeah, so many you need to see.
I guess whenever it comes back.
It's going through some reworks, some jigs.
It'll be revamped.
We're revamping.
It's going to come back with a vengeance.
Absolutely.
For the third time.
The third time.
Third time's the charm. The third film's always the best in the trilogy.
Well, I literally blame Bernie Sanders for To the Table's hiatus.
Yeah. I mean, let's be real. Yeah. 100%. I got caught. I didn't want to. I got caught back up into... Because we were this close. We were on the verge of greatness. And
that wasn't a joke. We almost got there.
Almost.
Yeah.
But, and then everything at the same time that fell apart, the world fell apart. And it's just like, I just want to lay here a while.
And we have been. We're going on week what now? Week 8? Week 9?
Oh, God. Way more, I feel like.
It feels longer than that in some ways.
Peter, I think we need to go back to formula.
So yeah, that's the Marino. Did you see The Mummy?
Yes.
Alexis Marino? Did you like it, or were you just like too much sand?
It's dry and it's coarse and
she
it gets everywhere.
She hates the water more than she hates sand, I think. If memory serves right.
Yes. I kind of don't like both, but whatever. I like the movies. They were scary, but I toughed it out. I'm kind of like Alexis, like where if it was like really scary, like I just either avoided it, but there was some that like snuck up on there.
Put the blinders on and just like
yeah. And then I think the reason why I kept watching it was because I was a huge fan of George of the Jungle.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Like, I don't know. I recently watched it because they put it on Disney Plus. Oh my god, that movie is so bad. But I used to watch it all the time. And so I was like, hey, it's George of the Jungle. But it's The Mummy. This is cool.
I can't believe you people.
Man, we're really learning a lot today, aren't we?
Jeez. Okay. Is there another one, you guys?
Kyle wanted to do Spider-Man.
Spider-Man?
Back to formula.
Is that what? Was that the segue? Okay. I missed it. I missed it completely.
But before we continue, very little things freaked me out as a kid. There was one thing in particular creeped me out as a kid.
Not that again.
I'm still going through it.
Oh my god.
I'll go
is it the Beatles?
Another. No,
the Beatles.
It's not the Beatles.
Oh, never mind.
No,
I'm thinking something else.
Michael Jackson.
When I was a kid, like the DVD had like a screensaver of sorts. If you don't like press play immediately on the
on
the
thing, it had the screensaver, and like it was just a black screen with just like the score playing, like just like, and it was like the lone cello that would just like, and like that freaked me the fuck out as a kid. I was like, what the fuck am I listening to?
Oh no, that's so scary.
Shit's awesome, yo.
No. I mean, I guess I kind of have like a similar thing, but like with movie covers.
Yeah, and we experienced that firsthand here a few months back when I pulled out just to test you we were doing a recording here in my room when she traveled up to California from Texas, and I pulled out the Blu-ray cover of Hereditary, a film that she loves, by the way. And one look, and without missing a beat, she just screamed because she saw the cover of Hereditary.
And I think The Mummy was one of them. I mean, like, vividly that I remember that, like, terrified me. It was the Godzilla one, the one with the eye.
Oh, yeah.
And
the dinosaur?
No.
No, the Godzilla. No, Godzilla, Roland Emmerich.
Yeah.
What's his name? From Ferris Bueller? What's his name? The actor?
Yeah.
Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
That one freaked me out, and the Phantom Menace.
Why? Because of Darth Maul?
Yeah.
His eyes?
No, just him in general.
Oh,
and
okay.
then it was funny because in my room, like, when I had the movie in VHS, I had my TV, like, on the corner, and it was, like, on top of a TV that on top of a table that my mom made. Like, she made it, like, to fit the corner, like she cut the edges off, and she put like a sheet on top of it to make it look all fancy or whatever. Underneath the sheet, I hid the Phantom Menace VHS because it scared the crap out of me. But I would every so often forget, and I would look under there, and it would scare me so bad.
No, when you as a kid in a room, you have things that when you turn the lights off and you look at them too long, you get scared, and so you want to cover certain things. And honestly, it's weird hearing you say that because I did some of those same things for other different reasons. And it's like, honestly, it's a wonder that we Alexis's have come to really appreciate horror movies as much as we have. I think we've come a long way considering how insane we were.
I am proud of myself. Like, I'm proud of myself. That's all.
Yeah, we were scared of everything, clearly. Yeah.
And they say that hero will save us.
Oh my God.
Gonna stand here and wait.
And he's watching us.
Watching us.
Copyright.
We all fly away. The band doesn't exist anymore. Copyright doesn't exist. I don't feel like I need to justify this movie on here.
Well, you don't gotta justify nothing, but just tell the story about why this is an important moment in your life.
I love Spider-Man. As a kid, it was like Spider-Man, lower, like family, I guess, and then the rest of the world.
You guess.
I guess they can be down there. But I adored Spider-Man. Like, he was the superhero to me.
Yeah.
Like,
he was your god.
The superhero. Just so relatable, so amazing. Like, I can't get into it for the 500th time, but Jesus, Sam Raimi just, to me, made an amazingly perfect superhero movie.
Could it also be like much like King Kong, you connected with your main character called Peter Parker?
Maybe. I was a dumb kid, so that could go a long way. But just like I said, it just kind of has everything I love as a film, or maybe this film made me love. Who knows? What came first, the chicken or the egg? But just like the genuine raw emotion behind it, the fact that it is scary at a lot of points, it can be brutal, but it can also be really cheesy and uplifting at the same time. And it's just so earnest in everything that it is. And I just love it so much. And I think I've talked about this before. How I remember going with my dad to the theaters to go see it, and it was at in Imperial, right? Because there was no
Wasn't
mall.
that like the only theater we had at that point? Was that in the drive-in?
Well,
that and the Calexico 10.
Oh, yeah.
We still had the Calexico 10.
And the drive-in. Oh man, I miss driving by the drive-in and just looking at the movies.
Yeah,
we sound like such geezers right now. Like, what the hell's a drive-in theater to the people?
Well, you all are disgusting old millennials. I'm a elder Gen Zer, so it's okay.
Fuck off! You're our age. What are you talking about? We were all born the same time.
It's not necessarily.
The cutoff for millennials is 1996.
It differs on where you see it. Okay, it differs. Elder Gen Z. I went to go see it.
Unless you're Moreno, in that case, she's Methuselah.
She's an old grandma. I went to go see it in Imperial, and the line was outside, like reaching outside of the theater, wrapping around.
Real quick, though, to add more building. Detail to this is 2002. This is in our community, small, and this isn't also not that big of a theater. It never was. Mm-hmm. It was actually pretty small.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine those conditions in that time then. I don't think ever witnessed a massive line for any movie at Movies Imperial.
No, this was huge. And I remember getting out the car, seeing the line, and my dad going, "Fuck this, we're seeing the Scorpion King instead." As a kid, I didn't care. I wanted to see the Scorpion King too, but I just remember thinking back, I think that's so funny because, honest to God, I would do the same thing. I hate lines. I refuse to wait longer than 2 seconds for anything. I don't even remember at what point I did end up seeing it, but I do know I saw it because, like, if I had any obsession, it was like Star Wars and Spider-Man. Spider-Man maybe even bigger. Like, if I go through old boxes, I can probably find like stacks and stacks and stacks of papers of just drawings of Spider-Man, and like that's it. There's no buildings around him. It's just him.
Like the mask, the silhouette, or him swinging.
It's just fucking him. I have. Oh, I can't really show you it because I'd have to turn it around. But like my big ass throw blanket that I have on my bed right now is from the original Sam Raimi. Like it's that old. The original Sam Raimi Spider-Man film. But it's a big. I still use it because it's big and fluffy and it's awesome. But yeah, no, like, and I just want to add, just looking at like the films I included, it has a list of some amazing directors. Like there's Sam Raimi, Joe Dante, Peter Jackson, George Lucas, Gore Verbinski, Joe Johnston,
Danny DeVito.
Henry Selick, Danny DeVito.
And the former producers, you have Tim Burton.
Yeah, Tim Burton. But no, I don't think I need to really dwell because we have very much gotten into the Sam Raimi films here in the past. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I can only just tell you that experience. I'm kind of envious though, because, or maybe not even so. That's why I'm always kind of a firm believer in, you experience films in a lot of ways when you're kind of meant to in some way. And that's always been my experience, where when the right movie comes along at the right time, no matter what age you are, and it somehow wraps itself in its magic. I remember watching, it's interesting because this was, we were doing BNC at the time, I think, right? Or maybe we weren't, I'm not sure. But Spider-Man Homecoming was about to come out. And I hadn't seen a Spider-Man movie. The only thing that I was exposed to Spider-Man at that time was the Civil War Tom Holland version of it. And you had asked us, or at least me, to see the movies, which of course for those that want like more details in the films, we have audio commentaries on the 3 Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. But the thing about the first movie in particular, what I never expected in a million years, it was so good that it made me feel like I was like a kid again, watching that at the time that I was like meant to see it originally when it came out, but just never did. And it made me one of the films most that can just suck you in and not care about, well, I don't know what problems there would have, but I was just so moved by that movie and in many ways because of its earnestness, as you said, and it's just honesty. And of course, yeah, I can't tell you in how many ways how like profound that movie was as an adult watching it, and it made me just reminded me of why I love movies. So I can only imagine how just amazing that was. You as a kid watching it for the first time.
It set a high standard for me. For not just film, but like comic book films specifically as well.
It's interesting though, because now we're recording this in 2020. It's hardly talked about, those movies, it seems like, at least in the discussions today.
People push them away as being cheesy and outdated.
They dismiss them.
They're kind of dismissed, and it's like, it's so good. Don't do that. Yeah, like people swear by the Tom Holland, say it's the best ever. They finally got Spider-Man right, and I'm like, they're good. I enjoy them, but
the closest there was Into the Spider-Verse.
Toby.
Into the Spider-Verse was the closest one. I recently did a commentary with David, and I think it might have been my favorite commentary of the recent ones that we did, because like his passion and love for that movie just only made me love the film even more. And it was wonderful. That was like the first real time that David like took the wheel in a conversation, and I was like, whoa, you must love this because you're really like in charge of like where this discussion is going. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. It's really good.
How many times he cried?
He's proud of that one.
He's what? He's proud of that one?
Yeah.
How many times did he cry?
I don't think he did, but he came close once.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll watch it then.
It ain't Kyle and Onward commentary, that's for sure.
Oh God, did I told you guys how I just popped in randomly on the Onward commentary, and then immediately it's just you all like just fucking crying, just the waterworks like crazy, and I'm like, oh my God, and then I just exited out of the YouTube app. Yeah, that was funny. Only 2, and then there were 3. Fuck.
There's 3 left. There's Mouse Hunt, Matilda, and there is Jumanji.
You guys. All right.
We're back in Jumanji.
Okay, this is a film. This is another one where everyone at the time was like, "This movie's a piece of shit." Like it really was. Like,
really?
Yes. I think it has.
Really? I didn't know that.
Maybe you guys can double check. I think it was fucking rotten on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Like
the new one is like
it's all
heralded.
I don't like the new ones.
I refuse to watch them, to be honest.
I've watched a lot of parts of them.
I gotta say though, I never watched them, but from the trailers and the clips, they weren't bad. At least that's what they could have been. I don't think they're trash.
It's a rock movie. You know exactly what you're
getting. I hated
it
because in my head, they kind of went the route that they did with like 21 Jump Street, and like
they kind of made it a joke.
I love the show, and so I protested those movies as well, and so I was kind of mad.
Those are really funny movies, though. You shouldn't protest.
Okay. So Rotten Tomatoes gave the film 54% of 37 reviews. Roger Ebert rated the film 1.5 out of 4 stars, criticizing its reliance on special effects to convey its story, which he felt was severely lacking.
Different.
I don't know how that comes through. I really, again, hey, it's one of our favorites, Alexis, Joe Johnston.
Yep.
Great director.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
those are not. By the way, do you guys all know who Joe Johnston is?
Yeah, he did the first Avenger, right? And the Rocketeer.
Mm-hmm. And he's also he designed Boba Fett, who is now getting another resurgence in Star Wars.
Lovely.
On Empire Strikes Back. So that was, I think, one of the first films he worked on.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
One of the things I love about Jumanji is its tone. And then it, like, the way as a kid, like, I remember the drums freaking me out. Like,
yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Like, it's this really imposing tone of like, oh shit, Jumanji, you know? Like, this, I remember the stampede, like, terrifying me as a kid. But it really set up Jumanji to be this really mysterious and violent place that, like, as a kid really drew me in, right? And I was just so interested to see what next thing would pop up with every roll of the dice that they would have. And then I think this is the third showing for Miss Kirsten Dunst.
Yep.
So there you go. But light on story, I guess. To me, it's really all about, you know, the Robin Williams and his daddy issues, which I think they handled that kind of well. I always like the line where he's like, you know, spent 20 years in the jungle and I still ended up like my dad. And just sort of, you know, those family issues that arise with that. To me, I loved the spectacle, the CGI. Yeah, some of it doesn't hold up. Those monkeys, holy shit. Like, they were terrifying back then, but they're twice as terrifying now, just the way they look.
Also, like, to pinpoint it, like, Jonathan Hyde, the actor, he plays both the hunter and
his dad, yeah. So there's like some
like things going on with that.
Themes.
It's a really interesting film. Like, it's a very, like, action. I mean, it's very unique, like how Small Soldiers was. I mean, it is an IP pretty much based off the book, but like it does things like very interestingly with like going it through suburbia and doing all that with the, you know, the wacky animals and
you know what,
all that. The crocodile scene in the
terrifying
in the is kind of scary.
The spiders.
Oh yeah,
the spiders or the big ass plant. Oh my god. But with a lot of these films that I have on here, I really like them, and a lot of them, and they're really humorous. But a lot of the times they play it straight, so to speak. Like Jumanji and the danger of it is played straight. You know, it's not a joke, and it feels like and you know, movie trends happen, right? And it feels like the movie trend of the time is to just not take the shit that's happening too seriously, to just sort of like laugh, just sort of look at itself and kind of laugh at what's going on. Like, just look at the new Jumanji movies they made.
Yeah, it's all fun and games and all that stuff, but in the original there's like actual stakes.
Not to say you can't have that kind of tone. I'm just saying, like, it just feels like all blockbusters are that way now. Where it's just whatever premise it is, it's kind of like very self-referential and joking about it. Whereas I feel like a lot of movies used to, like, it's a wacky concept, but they commit to it and take it not seriously. But it's not just like, oh, isn't it crazy what's going on around us, guys? But they're like, oh no, fuck, we're in danger. And I really like that, and I kind of miss a bit of that. But again, it's movie trends, right? Like, these are the kind of movies that are being made right now. In the next 10 to 20 years, we're going to see different kinds of movies and different trends. And yeah, it's great to see different kinds of shit being made.
Also, Robin Williams, a lot of people were taken aback that this is like him kind of being serious.
Yeah, a little bit. I really like Robin Williams in this one. This is one of my favorite Williams films. But no, I remember as a kid, like, every time hiding because of the stampede. And I don't know, again, dumb kid. I don't know what I expected. It's going to pop out the TV. But I can tell you right now, because I've actually seen replicas of, like, the board, like the Jumanji board. Mm-hmm. And like they sell that they sell like movie accurate and shit. And I know for a fact, like, if someone had shown that to me when I was a kid, like, I'd freak the fuck out. Like, no, not Jumanji. Don't roll the dice. Like, it'd be one of those things. I'd be like, the drums.
Like, you'd be sucked in.
No. Like, I'm telling you, as a kid, the dum 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 of the drums as Jumanji called out to its next players. Fucking crazy. But as a kid, I loved it. I loved it so much. Watched it so many times. Yeah. You guys, any comments, or I could speed through these next two?
Jumanji, I was actually surprised that, like, again, mm-hmm. like one of those things where I'm looking through your Blu-ray collection and then I see Jumanji, I'm like, wow, you like it that much, kind of thing. It's kind of like the Great Gatsby.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of thing.
You're surprised I had the Great Gatsby on there. Yeah, no, I really like that Great Gatsby.
Jumanji. Okay. A movie I have not seen. Mm-hmm. Mouse Hunt.
Ooh, has anyone here seen Mouse Hunt?
I have, but it's been a hot minute.
A hot minute. What about you, Mr. Alexis Soto?
No.
Nathan Lane.
Wait,
No.
what was the movie?
Mouse Hunt.
Mouse Hunt.
I don't know.
By Gore. I don't know. Okay, fuck you. This is the one movie then. I'll give a quick little synopsis. Tagline: Who's hunting who? Down on their luck, brothers Lars and Ernie Smuntz aren't happy with the crumbling old mansion they inherit until they discover the estate is worth millions. Before they can cash in, they have to rid the house of its single stubborn occupant, a tiny and tenacious mouse. This is a film I watched a lot as a kid. I know I'm saying that with every film, but it's true for all of them. I loved Mouse Hunt. I loved the music. Dun, 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 dun. Like,
hijinks.
It's, if you've seen it, it has such an imposingly dark tone, but it almost plays like a Coen Brothers movie with, like, how dark it is and the humor that it has. But it's a kid's movie, and it's like it's basically like a Three Stooges movie level slapstick, as Nathan Lane and his brother Lars are going around trying to rid the house of this mouse, this like hyper intelligent mouse. Basically, it's very cartoonish, but also very dark in tone. Like, it's such a weird movie. Like, you have to see it to understand it, and I love it so much. It literally starts at the funeral of their dad, and they're like pallbearers, and as their pallbearers they get into a fight, and like they drop it, and then the body flies out and like falls into the sewers. And they're just like, he's long gone, guys. And then they're just like, oh fuck. And it really sets the tone for the rest of the movie. Like the crazy things they go through to try to get rid of this mouse. They hire what's his name? Fuck. Why isn't he coming up? Christopher Walken to try and get rid of the mouse. And he's like this expert mouse killer, and the mouse just demolishes him in a way I won't spoil.
Peter, what kind of friend are you? You cherish this movie and you share every other movie with me, and then the movie with Christopher Walken in it.
I thought you'd seen it. Legitimately, I thought you'd seen it.
It's just like one of those movies that you just like watch when you're a kid, but you don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
Right?
But I have the VHS, so I know where that bitch came from. Okay?
I did too, but like I have no like I don't know. Like it's just like a weird movie that I have.
It's such a weird movie, but it hits all the right points for me. Like they go at one point they go to try and get a killer cat to get the mouse, and like you see like they're gassing cats, I guess the cats that didn't get picked up that day, and killing them, and like I can't remember its name. It was like Catzilla, and then they're like, yeah, we were just about to gas it again, and they're like, again, all right, this is our guy, and it basically becomes like they let the cow loose in the house, and it basically becomes an even more fucked up Tom and Jerry as this crazy ass cat is going after this mouse. Like, you guys need to see Mouse Hunt.
Wow. I'm sold.
I love Mouse Hunt.
I'm sold. We should do it.
I love Mouse Hunt. Maybe we'll do a special
commentary
three-way to the table.
Oh.
Don't get too excited there, bucko. Yeah, so because neither you or Kyle has seen it, yeah, that would be interesting.
And I've always loved Nathan Lane. I mean, I love...
he's hilarious in this movie.
That Birdcage movie with Robin Williams?
Yeah. No.
He's good. Honestly, Nathan Lane is great in everything he does. Like, even he had a cameo in Addams Family Values. And, like, just like his, like, what are you? Who are you? Who moved the rock? Just like his inflection is brilliant.
If you guys see this movie, I'm telling you, like, when you guys watch it, you'll be like, oh, I get it now. As far as, like, I guess me, I don't know. Like, this is what influenced him as a kid. No, it's great. It's really good.
What I'm most curious about is Matilda.
Oh, really?
What a bop of a movie.
I did see Matilda years ago, and I did enjoy it. Mm-hmm. It is, I think, it does fit into the mold of quirk.
Yeah, oh, it's very quirky. Oh, it's so great.
Trunchbull and
this is one
all that stuff.
As a kid, I adore Matilda as a movie. I really do. And as a kid, I did connect with it. I loved reading as a kid, like a lot. Like, I would read a lot. You know, I didn't have, you know, crazy awful family like her, but just that connection of like, oh yeah, reading. I love it. But yeah, directed by Danny DeVito, and again, it's whimsical and it's weird, but it commits to it because it's a strange story, so it needs to be told and such. But what's her name? Mara Wilson, who is amazing. Love her. She's great in this. Danny DeVito is awesome. You know, I'm big, you're small. You're dumb, I'm smart.
I'm right, you're wrong.
I'm right, you're wrong. There's nothing you can do about it. As a kid, morally, I thought I really enjoyed it. Just this idea of, you know, reading is good. Bad people deserve to be punished. And there is happy
not
endings.
If they're fighting for their freedom, right? Unless they're fighting for their freedom.
But it's like just the cast of characters, because of course it has Danny DeVito, but it also has his wife Ray Perlman and Paul Rubens.
I forgot Rhea Perlman was in that movie. She was from Cheers, right?
Yeah. She plays...
I've always found it funny that those two married each other. It's like, well, that's perfect.
And then, of course, she plays the wife in the...
Yeah.
And there's just so many iconic moments. Well, Miss Trunchbull that's a fucking powerhouse character if I've ever seen one. But like one of the funniest and just like movie moments that just has been embedded in me like my entire life is the chocolate cake scene, where she brings out the big ass chocolate cake and is like, as a punishment, he has to eat it. And then they're like, you can do it. You're like, no. And then like, it becomes like a Rocky moment and they're all cheering and the music's like triumphant. And then Trunchbull just gets the tray and smashes it on his head. The music just cuts.
I don't know if you saw it, but they recently got the cast together and reenacted that scene.
They did?
Yeah.
What was the name of the kid? Like, you can do it.
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh God, I forgot, but it was always so funny. Like, I swear to you, every time I see chocolate cake, that's immediately the first thing I think of.
That goes,
you can do it.
You know what's fascinating? Like, the actress who played Trunchbull is also Aunt Marge in Prisoner of Azkaban.
That's right. Is it her? Oh.
Yeah, I think that's wild.
That's so funny. But no, Matilda, it's just, I adore it. I really, really do. Like, if there's any film I'd want to show my kids, it's Matilda. Like, be a good person, read.
Also, it's got the best, like, one of the best, like, child, like, dirty jokes in the thing.
Which one?
Where he asks her what she's reading, and he's like, Moby Dick. He's like, Moby what?
No. But I also like just like when kids movies, when like I like those kids movies where it's like it speaks to children and it speaks to this feeling children have where like adults are weird and crazy and fucked up. And they're hard to understand, and they can seem dangerous. Like I can see Matilda, if you were, it almost feels like a regular story just through the eyes of like a child with like a imagination. Like the Chokey is literally just like detention, or Miss Trunchbull. She's shitty, but she's not literally grabbing kids by their pigtails and throwing them into fences. But just sort of like
letting the imagination
like
wild,
very
kind of
human story viewed through the eyes of a child, I think is nice, and again, the way it's told is very whimsical and well done.
Because again, like when like a 6-year-old is like explaining like, how was your day at school? Oh my God, like there was like these like fairy ponies and all this stuff, very over dramatized.
The teacher yelling once can seem like the end of the world,
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and through the eyes of a kid, like you accidentally fart during nap time or something, and it's like, oh, my life's over because I farted and everyone laughed at me, or something like that. You know what I mean?
It's interesting. I actually have a story to share, not with the farting thing, but with kids.
Oh, okay.
Because recently when I was subbing for a class, it was a 5th grade class, and I had done that particular classroom several times, and it was there, you know how in elementary school, like they have Valentine's Day parties and they like bring a whole bunch of food and like you get Valentine cards for all of your classmates and everything.
Yeah.
First of all, I forgot that happened, and it was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. And this person, this kid was a little like, he felt really bad that he didn't bring, he had to bring like a number of like, I think I don't know if it was chips or cookies or whatever it was, but there wasn't exactly enough for everybody, and he felt like really terrible about that. And like for the rest of the day, he was like really sad. And I was like, and I was just trying to like, first of all, I was trying to care. And then second of all, I was trying to like, I was trying really hard to care in general. And then second of all, I was trying to like tell him like, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. No one's going to be upset. And I'm like, wow.
But to put your headspace into it's difficult. Yeah. As far as a kid, like I remember like I might getting my name on the board might as well have been, you know, they might as well have signed my execution.
Death sentence.
It was a death sentence, basically. Like, but now as an adult looking back, like, shit, write my name 20 times. I don't care, you know?
If only we had known that back then, you know, it didn't matter at all.
Like, it's literally just writing your name on the board. But as a kid, it really was like, oh, I'm sentenced to die today. Okay. Like, it was that kind of feeling. It's crazy, you know? But I like films that sort of speak the language of children, you know? I like that those films exist.
Yeah.
I think, and also like with the source material where it came from, Roald
Dahl,
he always wrote it in that perspective of like the imagination of like James and the Giant Peach.
Oh yeah. That's another one I could have put on there. Yeah.
The adults were very vile. And all this stuff.
I sort of have a soft spot for kids' films where the adults are just pieces of trash. I don't know why. But yeah.
Maybe it's the millennial,
the Gen Zer in me.
Yeah.
Elder Gen Z. I'll hold to it, bitch.
Oh my god.
And honestly, those movies have been telling the truth because, you know, the reputation of boomers these days is pretty trashy.
Not Danny DeVito, though.
No, not Danny DeVito. He's a burner right there.
He's one of the good ones.
He's one of the good ones. So, just to ask you guys, was there any surprises with my list? Anything you view differently, or does it all make sense now?
It makes sense. Okay, to me, it all makes sense. Mm-hmm. I wasn't expecting King Kong on there.
Oh.
Or Scooby-Doo Zombie Island and all that stuff. But like all in all, like I remember you talking to me about Mouse Hunt and all that stuff, and it just like it clicks. I mean, it wasn't like obvious until you listed it off. You're like, oh, okay. And now we got a little insight on your psyche in your developmental phase. Which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We'll find out.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Does it make sense in a good way, or does it make sense in a bad way?
We know you like quirky shit.
You know,
sometimes scary.
If we hadn't talked about Zombie Island so recently, this would have been a surprise, and it still is in some respects. Like, one of the biggest curveballs Peter has ever thrown in any one of these shows was when he, out of nowhere, mentioned Invader Zim into the Florpus or whatever it was on the Top 10 show.
Right?
That was so out of left field. I could not have called that. But
I love animation.
Yeah, it's great.
By the way, I just want to point out 2019 was not kind of me. If I remembered that movie existed, like in the duration of that year, I would have.
Are you saying that you were drinking a lot? Because you're just kind of saying that. So 2019, it was so bad you forget most of it.
He blacked it out.
A little bit.
We now know why the rum is gone. Is what he's trying to say.
Yep. Now that the age-old question, why is the rum gone?
I think this did exactly what, the point of the series is. To not just, get into your inner psyche, of course. And if they made sense, well, as you talked about the reasonings behind these films and why they were such a big thing for you, yeah, they made perfect sense. And in many ways, what these episodes are supposed to do is to introduce, the listeners and of course each other to our kid selves, which are very different people. Some of the same, but maybe in some ways different people than what we are today. And
I hope different.
like a lot of this, of course, it's not out of left field, a lot of these things for you, but in terms of like how, I think what was the most perhaps polarizing thing that you said that is just completely in contradiction to what you are right now is the Phantom Menace rationale with A New Hope and everything. That's a complete 180 from what it is now. But if anything, no, like all of these things have a theme. They're quirky, they're weird, and in some aspects, maybe not all of them, they do have an edge to them and a scary edge to them, which for Moreno and I would be very uncharacteristic of movies that we'd bother to go see at this time. So, I thought this was, I felt we learned quite a bit, including that you have a mannequin head in your room. And you speaking to it on, in the recording session.
Her name's Sheila. She blinks sometimes.
There was one time, because I went to cosmetology school, so I had a bunch of mannequin heads, and there was one in my mom's trunk, and I had friends over, and she was like, hey, can you guys help me, like, bring down the groceries? So we all go, and then my friend, like, he grabs one of the bags, and the mannequin head is, like, under the bag. Dude, he swore that my mom, like, committed murder. He was terrified. He screamed. It was so funny. But I was just like, hey, it's just a mannequin head. And he's like, oh my God.
Now you can't trust him. You can't trust him with a good friend would have been like, hey, I didn't see anything, all right? Let's get these groceries inside. That's what a true friend does. Whoever you had to kill, they probably had it coming. Let's get these Hot Pockets in the freezer.
Wow.
We done?
I guess. I don't know. Moreno, do you have anything to say?
There's a lot of movies that I forgot about. So that was fun.
All right. That was a comment for sure. Yeah. Hey, we kept it under 3 hours this time. Good job,
This is the first podcast in a few weeks where it's been under 3 hours. And maybe it helped that we didn't spend... I feel those podcasts were long because they were just Star Wars tangents. I'll just put it out there.
Yeah.
So that...
When we get into the Star Wars, it tends to happen.
And you think, like, 5-6 years we've been doing this show, and that combine that with the BNC videos, you'd think we'd have enough, like, Star Wars content already, like, available. Like, holy...
Oh, no.
No.
It's just... The war has just begun. And it will not be the last Star Wars podcast.
Never. So, if no one else has any further thoughts...
No.
Okay, well, I loved how this turned out. That's Peter Martinez, everybody. Hope you liked him. We'll see how that goes. Next week, we'll have somebody else do the exact same thing that Peter just did.
You want to decide? Okay, real quick. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Alexis, go.
So thank you all for listening so much to this podcast.
Alexis.
Okay, Kyle, go.
6.
Alexis, go.
5.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of another number this time. Wait, because you and both Alexises were just equally away from the number. It was 4. So okay, we'll narrow it down to Alexis and Alexis. Let me think of another number. Okay. Alexis Moreno, go.
8.
Okay. Other Alexis, go.
9.
Who picked 8?
Me.
You go next week.
Okay.
It was 7. There, we did it.
We did it. All right. So Alexis Moreno will be up next week with which should be interesting. Oh boy. I can only imagine how that's going to...
What does that mean?
Well, one of the things that Peter and I discussed the night that this idea came into fruition was that a lot of us are just going to have a lot of, shall we say, Disney-inspired material.
Disney with the side of Disney.
Well, okay, I'll give you a sneak peek. There's only 3 out of 12, so it's not that much.
Whoa! Okay,
really?
Well that's a surprise.
Okay,
that's great.
Unless like another one is Disney, and I just don't know. I feel like one more is Disney.
Well,
but
they
I don't
own
think
everything now.
Oh, okay. Then in that case, that's like 5.
Is it Holes?
No.
Oh, okay.
I hated that movie.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I love Holes.
Ouch.
I don't know why.
It's that crazy old bitch. She's scary.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's really.
Don't talk about Miss Tano that way.
Ransom. Wanna watch Clone Wars?
You can listen to our podcasts anywhere you listen to podcasts. Wooshka, Spotify, Apple, and on YouTube and so forth every single Sunday, and perhaps on Thursdays. Fantasy Fair up every Monday and Friday. If there's one, Bon and Beyond's also coming up pretty soon. Thank you all for listening. Stay safe and stay under your homes here in the age of COVID-19. Stay under the spotlight for more and more content. And until next time, bye-bye.